Okay, first of all, don't look at my tabs. There's too many, and some of them might be hiding some prawn. Anyways, we just got the Building in Azeroth, a first look at housing, literally just released a first look at housing. We actually got an update earlier today or yesterday, depending on when you're seeing this, from Holly Longdale about kind of the state of things, and she said that we were going to be receiving this today. So I figured, let's look at it and see what we're off to, taking you behind the scenes to give you an early look at what the housing development team has been working on. Excited to kick off our first look at housing in World of Warcraft, share some of our philosophies and plans for this new feature with you. First up, we're focusing on our high-level design pillars for housing, as well as talking about a few key areas of housing as we lay the foundation for future discussions. Okay, fortifying housing with pillars. That's a good idea. You need support structures. When developing such a large new feature, it's useful to start by first defining its pillars. They help the development team get on the same page, as well as providing a guiding light when making decisions and identifying priorities. Important to note that while these pillars are broad in scope, they aren't all encompassing. Just because something isn't mentioned in a pillar doesn't mean it's not important. Okay. What are your 3 pillars of housing? First of all, I like the art of this. This is awesome. Concept art for the new rugged decor. Uh-oh. Does that mean we're going to have like templates to choose from instead of, well, all right, I mean, that looks awesome, but boundless self-expression. Our highest priority is to allow players to build a house that shows off their own personal taste or their war bands, acts as a desired backdrop for role-playing, or just allows players to create something in a flight of fancy. The toolset should be easy enough for someone with no 3D experience to be comfortable with and use successfully, but it should also be powerful enough that players can surprise us with their creations. Oh, okay, cool. Or drill down to get the tiniest details just right. The gamut of decor options spans not just the culture of Azeroth, but the many expansions of World of Warcraft as well. Decor options, okay. Deeply social. It's more fun with other players, and housing should be no different. Yep. While players can enjoy housing purely on their own, its systems are designed at a fundamental level to encourage interacting, playing, and progressing with friends, neighbors, guilds, and the wider community in a meaningful way. Okay. I mean, this is their core pillars, is these 3 things. Boundless self-expression, deeply social, long-lasting journey. It's being built as an evergreen addition to the game with its own roadmap, reaching across multiple patches and into future expansions. Housing isn't something players should expect to finish, but instead continually look forward. You hear that? All the things, players? But instead continually look forward to the next housing release, be it new content or systems. This is a long-term commitment for us as developers and offers players rewards all along the way. One important note, even though it's not an explicit pillar, wide adoption is a primary consideration for us as well. Most players should want a house in Azeroth, and if a player wants a house, they can have a house. Okay, cool. Housing is being designed to scale with the player's interests. If someone wants to spend dozens of hours a week on their house, that's great. If they're only interested in coming and going once or twice a month, that's great too. I don't know what that... Okay. So this is the concept art for the new rugged decor. Boundless self-expression, you know, like the Drakthir's evoker form, or visage forms, right? So I'm assuming that they're going to give us stuff and then we can move with. So let's just go down more and see what they're saying. Seen a lot of discussion, speculation from the community on where players will be able to have houses. This is a big deal. We decided early on that there would be 2 housing zones available at launch, one for Alliance and one for Horde, with more possible places to live in the future. The Alliance zone takes inspiration from Elwyn Forest with touches of Westfall and Duskwood. And the Horde's is inspired by Durotar, its coastline, and Ajara. There are 2 main reasons for this decision. Having many housing zones conflicts with the second pillar of designing a feature that is deeply social. In a world where players can live in many different zones, they become increasingly spread out, and even with aggressive sharding, the chance of seeing other players, much less interacting with them, drops quickly. I understand. That makes sense. Putting it bluntly, zones are a lot of work. We'd rather do a great job with a small number of zones than do a passable job on a large number, or come up with solutions that take the player out of the world into their own personal instance of a zone. We chose these as our starting points because of how iconic they are for their respective factions and how much they feel like home to so many players already. So the thing that I'm really excited about, I was actually on the For Azeroth podcast talking about the differences between, or how Final Fantasy XIV's housing works and things we would like to see World of Warcraft implement. And the big thing there is the idea of neighborhoods and it not just being like an instance thing. You just teleport to your home, you're in a room, and that room is your player housing, nothing else. This makes it sound like that's not what they're going to have neighborhoods, right? By having the two zones. And that's just a start. So like, even if you're like, but I'm not an alliance player, I'm a Draenei. It sounds like potentially those are zones that are going to be in the future. I mean, it literally says like, hey, this is a long-term commitment. So I'm curious to see what they end up doing and what kind of zones. Oh, that's awesome. That looks really cool. Concept art for the new folk decor. It's so cluttered, but I love, like, it fits WoW so well. I like that. Outfitting your home. Similarly, there have been discussions in the community on whether housing will be pay to win, pay to play, or win or not, along with other conversations around real-world money. We've been very aligned in our internal conversations that housing is designed to be primarily player first and not revenue first. Primarily, though. I mean, I am of the opinion that if people want to spend money on cosmetics, they can. That's not pay to win, but how do you win at how? Anyways, housing will offer hundreds and hundreds of decorations and house customizations via in-game rewards, but will also offer a smaller number of items in the cash shop as well. This is comparable to how transmogs and pets are currently handled in game versus the shop. We want to allow players to have as many options as possible for creating their perfect home in Azeroth. Yeah, as long as things are cosmetic, who cares? If you want to spend, if another player wants to spend $10 on a thing of flowers, it doesn't affect you at all. A home for everyone. As part of our focus on wide adoption, we wanted to ensure that housing is available to everyone. If you want a house, you can have a house. No exorbitant requirements or high purchase costs, no lotteries. And that's I feel like the no lotteries is what Final Fantasy 14 does, and they're like being like, nope. And no onerous upkeep. And if your subscription lapses, don't worry, your house doesn't get repossessed. Your houses are also shared amongst your warband. That was another question that I had. Is every single one of our characters going to be able to have their own house? Because that's kind of ridiculous. I know some people that have like 200 characters or at least 65 characters, and that's outrageous. To all have their own house that you then have to do stuff with or whatever. I get why people would want that, but I think with the focus on warbands, that's much better, right? With different characters being able to come and go as you see fit, so your orc character can hang out in your alliance house without a problem. Housing rewards are also shared across your warbands, so you'll be able to use your decor collection no matter which character earns it. Great. It's not just warbands that cross factional lines, but friendships as well, so you'll be able to live in or visit your friends' or guildmates' houses and their neighborhoods with minimal restrictions regarding faction. For example, while it's not possible for your human character to buy a house in the Horde Zone, your troll character in the same warband can, and then your human can use it as if it were their own. Okay, so you get one house, and it's shared across your warband, but you can choose which character buys the house. Interesting. I wonder, that is what they're doing. That's what it sounds like, right? I'm not missing something there. Will you be my neighbor? Initial concept art for the new Horde what the new Horde neighborhood could be. I love the neighborhood thing, y'all. Neighborhood that's exactly what we wanted to see. Before we go, we want to mention the concept of neighborhoods as a small tease. Houses are organized into roughly 50 plot neighborhoods, letting players live next to each other, work together, and share in the rewards of being part of the neighborhood. They're instant, but crucially also persistent, so your neighbors can be your neighbors for years to come, or until one of you moves. Neighborhoods also come in two flavors. You have public neighborhoods, which the game servers are responsible for creating as needed and maintaining, or private neighborhoods created by groups of friends or guilds to inhabit, progress, and customize together. So while an individual player can have a house, a community can have a neighborhood. What? Okay, that is so much cooler than guild housing, right? At least in my opinion, is like your guild can have a private neighborhood where it's just your guildies have houses there. I did not expect them to do that, and that is amazing. That is that's so cool. Okay, sorry, I'm just really excited. Just an initial look at the blueprint we've been looking on. There's a lot more ground to cover, details to get into, as we look forward to your thoughts and feedback as we share more articles in the future. This literally just came out. You can tell because there's 0 comments complaining about it. Wow. I mean, it's a small tease, but it's a good tease. The neighborhood thing is a win. The big thing that I am curious about now is, can we customize the exterior of our house? Because it looks like, I mean, obviously we can customize the interior, right? Like this looks, yeah, I'm just curious to see like how different we can have things vibe wise. But if it's your warband, that's the thing that I'm interested in is if it's your warband and like, let's say a Forsaken character is your main, but you also have a Draenei that hangs out a lot. Are you able to like make your house feel like an undead's house or feel like a Draenei's house or a mix of the two or what? And what does the exterior of the house look like? Since there's neighborhoods, I'm assuming that means we'll get to customize our exteriors, right? Because they 50 plots, that's amazing. So I wonder if, so hang on. Houses are organized into roughly 50 plot neighborhoods, letting players live next to each other, work together, and share in the rewards of being part of the neighborhood. Neighborhoods are instant, but crucially also persistent, so your neighbors can be your neighbors for years to come, which is great. Created by groups of friends or guilds to inhabit, progress, and customize together. So, does that mean if your guild has more than 50 players, you won't all be able to be in the same neighborhood together? It sounds like maybe that's what the thing is. Looking at the concept art, though, a lot of these houses, like, I know a lot of people will be disappointed, and understandably so, if the exterior of your house is, has to look like this is very orc barracks type of orc architecture. I know people are going to want more, and again, this is just like the baseline for player housing, but I gotta say, having this right here, to me, this is a huge win for player housing. I can't wait to see what else is coming with this. Boundless self-expression, very curious to see what they end up doing with that. Gamut of decor options spans not just the cultures of Azeroth, but the many expansions of Warcraft as well. So I feel like they're going to, because of this line here, I feel like there's no way they're going to have the exterior of our houses all look the same, right? Like I just don't feel like they will. The neighborhood, like where geographically it is going to obviously be the same, but that's, to me, that's like not that big of a deal. Deeply social, big fan. The neighborhood stuff is huge. Long-lasting journey. They're built to be evergreen. So exciting. What a new era. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be really exciting. And you don't lose your house if you're not subbed. Very cool. Very, very cool. Anyways, that's a first little look at the blueprint, as they called it, of the player housing. I'm curious to hear what people's thoughts are. I'm a big fan. I'm really excited to see this. Yeah, and as long as I think it's interesting that they also tackled the pay to win, or I don't know why they call it pay to win. It's player housing, right? We've been very aligned in our internal conversations that housing is designed to be primarily player first and not revenue first. They'll offer hundreds and hundreds of decorations and house customizations via in-game rewards, but will also offer a small amount of items in the cash shop, which I think is totally fair. I think that's totally fair. As long as it's cosmetic and not like pay $50 and you can get a bank in your house, or pay $10 more with your sub fee every month for a mission table. You know what I mean? Like, as long as they don't do something like that, I think, oh shit, I just gave ideas. Anyways, I'm a big, to me, this looks great. This looks really, really cool. I'm a big fan of this. So curious to see what your thoughts are. Obviously, we're super early, so let me know in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out. And big videos coming soon, so stick around. Bye, nerds.